mean, we started off like that, and today it's a 500 plus strong team where we own the variants of, because the main cores are developed with a cadence of every 3 years we have a new core at AMD. And then, but just that one core will not suffice the entire range of products that we have. So we have to create variants, some additional features, security features need to be added, some more enhancements need to be added, and maybe it needs a, different sized memory or caches. So these are all things that the India team takes over, and we spin off variants. That's the entire ownership of India team. And then we are also poised now to take on the ownership of the main core development as well.
Hi, wherever you're joining us, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to Tech Conversations, where we bring you insights from tech entrepreneurs, CXOs, and investors. I'm Hari Arakli, and in this episode, Jaya Jagadish, Country Manager and Senior Vice President at AMD India, talks about why the company is very optimistic about the prospects of India's fledgling semiconductor ecosystem over the next decade. In this conversation, Jaya also talks about how, over the last 20 years, AMD India has become the company's biggest global R&D location at a time when the multinational chip maker is ramping up its efforts to produce processors focused on artificial intelligence. Okay, so thank you so much for making time for this. Really appreciate your time, and also bang in the middle of the first half of your day. Just to get us a sense of AMD's work in India, and for a more general audience as well, right? So if you could kind of ease us into this by giving us a little bit of maybe like a snapshot history of AMD's work in India, especially from the software and R&D side of things, and we go from there.
Yeah. So AMD India has been for about 2 decades now. That's the presence. And the Bangalore Design Centre really started in 2004. And this was our first design center in India. And we really started with a handful of engineers in a small office on Richmond Road. And from there to today, we are looking at 7,000 plus engineers, and also 10 different design centers across India, various cities. And in total, we are occupying a space of about 1.5 million square foot. So again, it's not just the headcount or the space that has grown or that we are talking about. It's really a testimonial of how India's expertise or value add to overall AMD has grown. That includes the expertise or skill sets of our engineers and the difference that we are making to our products at AMD, and also the value add to the overall AMD. I think the growth has been testimonial across all of these areas. So it's been a fantastic journey of 20 years almost.
Tell us a bit about how you yourself came to join AMD. 20 years back, it must have been a very different scene.
Oh, absolutely. It was different, and the talent landscape was very different. And for me, I started my career with AMD Austin as a NCG. I graduated from University of Texas in Dallas, and then my first job was with AMD Austin. And then it was honestly a no-brainer to come back to AMD India. 2004 was when I moved back to India, and AMD was starting their design center in Bangalore. So it was truly a homecoming for me in both coming back to my hometown, Bangalore, and also to my first company that I started, to AMD. And it's been a phenomenal growth, as I said earlier, and I've thoroughly enjoyed in both my role as a country head and also as a senior VP responsible for engineering in the region.
What does NCG stand for?
New college grads.
Yes. Okay. Is that a term within AMD or generally in the industry?
No, it's pretty commonly used in the industry, yeah.
Okay. We can get to that a little bit more as well down the line. I'm curious about new college grads that you're hiring now in AMD. Can you tell us a bit more about back then when the centers were established here? What was the intention? And then we can get into how it has evolved.
Yeah, I think in the early 2000s, it was more of a lot of companies were moving towards Bangalore, or they were recruiting and forming teams in Bangalore. So AMD too kind of joined the race, and then that's how the India Centre started here. And it was initially, of course, more in the resource augmentation model. And there was some skepticism about, what kind of talent is available, how do these engineers fare with respect to the global engineering talent. So all of that kind of came together as we started, we started small, the expectations were lower. And then, of course, as we gained that expertise and started making a bigger difference, I think that trust and faith of the overall global AMD on India definitely improved. And today, we recruit engineers across, the senior most to, NCGs or new college grads. So there are opportunities pretty much on every business unit that has invested in India. And then there is a growth opportunity starting from design engineer 1 all the way to SVP. We have the range of levels that we have people working. And it's not just in the management ladder and the technical ladder as well. We have senior fellows, which is one of the top technical levels in the company. We do have fellows and technical fellows contributing to the innovative pipeline at AMD.
What are some of the areas that you thought you could start in India, in Bangalore back then?
Yeah, so, we really looked at 3 areas to start with. The verification, physical design, and also software, because these are labor-intense disciplines and you need a lot of people. And these are also more modularized. It can be modularized in terms of work. It can be handed out to a regional center. So we really started with DV and physical design and also software. But over time, we have added other disciplines which are niche skill sets like the performance modeling, and then IP level RTL work, and then the SOCs that are done completely out of India. And then software, there are almost every element happens out of India.
What is RTL?
RTL is basically the registered, it's the hardware coding language that describes the design. So we start off with that. We get the specifications and then we write our code in RTL. We define the design, and that's what forms the base for implementation, to translate that into gates and then to layout, and then we send it out to the fab for fabrication.
Okay, so now can you bring it to where we are? Give us a sense of, the level of complexity that your teams are able to handle today. Maybe some examples along the way.
Sure. So for AMD overall, we have also grown as an organization or as a company from where we are. When I started with AMD back in '94, it was just one large team working on one project. Now our portfolio is so diverse. We are into CPUs and servers and PCs and FPGAs, adaptive SoCs. And of course AI, which is the new kid on the block. So AMD's growth has truly reflected in AMD India's growth as well, because every BU or business unit really has its presence in India. And then we're not just talking about presence and a handful of engineers working on certain projects. We are really talking about India, AMD India becoming a big part of our designs or our engineering teams, global engineering teams. And we kind of do IP development, which are blocks, individual blocks of design that we develop, which are extremely complex, like the CPU or the Infinity Fabric or the graphics IP. These are all things that a lot of work happens out of India as well. And then we have the SOC teams where we bring together all the IPs, we stitch them together, and it has to work at the system level. So we have large presence of SOCs in India. We do the server SOCs, the client SOCs. We also have the presence of graphic SOCs. And also we have a group called semi-custom, where we customize our designs as per the customer's needs. We have presence on that as well. So we do a lot of SOC work, and tape outs happen. I mean, once we integrate all the IPs, we tape out the design, so that a lot of tape outs happen out of the region. And not to forget a large software contingent that we have in the region. So whether it's CPU software or graphics software, we have a large presence here in India. And more than the presence, I would emphasize on the value add or the ownership. There are models where we own the entire design out of India, and we deliver that out of India. And we do a lot of collaborative work as well with other teams.
Several things are coming up in my mind. I'm trying to make sure that I keep them in my mind and not forget. The first one is, you said that the vision is to see the Indian team more and more integrated with your global operations. Can you give us a sense of what that roadmap looks like?
So the growth path for India is kind of in lockstep with the growth path of overall AMD. So, we started small, and then we started building teams with a good level of contribution or ownership, and then we moved to full-fledged project ownership. And as we continue, AI and ML, machine learning, have become kind of pervasive in the industry, and everyone's looking at it and investing into it. And AI is also a new group that has been formed for AMD, and will have and is actually having a pretty significant presence in the region. And not to say the other areas of silicon design or software will continue to grow as we find new products for our roadmaps. So we will continue to work with the global teams on all of these roadmap products.
And you said there are some models where the India team kind of takes full ownership from conceptualization, I'm thinking, all the way to tape out. Give us one or two examples.
So one of the strong examples is the CPU design. I mean, CPU is the central processing unit. That's kind of the brain of the entire system. So it's one of the most complex IPs. And that's a team that was pretty much my first assignment when I moved to AMD India, to form a CPU team. And of course, the talent was not readily available, and I had to kind of focus on hiring good, sharp engineers who could come and learn the design or the architecture, the x86 architecture. And we had to implement a lot of training programs for that. I mean, we started off like that, and today it's a 500 plus strong team where we own the variants of, because the main cores are developed with a cadence of every 3 years we have a new core at AMD. And then, but just that one core will not suffice the entire range of products that we have. So we have to create variants, some additional features, security features need to be added, some more enhancements need to be added, and maybe it needs a different sized memory or caches. So these are all things that the India team takes over, and we spin off variants. That's the entire ownership of India team. And then we are also poised now to take on the ownership of the main core development as well. I mean, one of the next generation cores has been identified as something that India will continue to own. That's a solid example of how we've moved from starting small to now ownership. And it's a similar story with SOCs as well. I mean, we do a lot of SOCs. Again, it started off maybe with a small verification team or an implementation team. And then today we have a full-fledged SOC team spinning various SOCs and taping out from India.
AI is the other thing that I wanted to ask you about, certainly. Pretty sure that you all have been working on it quietly long before AI became a household name. And give us a sense of how you started preparing, to develop today what has now suddenly become a big success with your latest processor.
I mean, AI comes with a huge potential. It has the potential to really reshape the way we work, the way we learn, the way we innovate. I mean, it has a huge impact on a lot of things that we do. However, to realize the true vision of AI, it needs to be pervasive. So pervasive AI comes with a few critical requirements. One is, of course, the compute engines that has to give the right amount of performance for AI, and it has to be balanced with the power efficiency of the devices. It can't blow up the power, so you need both performance that with lower power, and that is something that can be used for inference and training. And along with that, that's the hardware requirement. We also need an open ecosystem where the developers can come in and develop their applications and also easily develop and deploy their applications in the ecosystem. So AMD's AI strategy kind of addresses these requirements. On one hand, we have our high-performing CPUs and GPUs that along with our adaptive computing solutions for AI that actually help in the inference and training angle. And also we have some of the accelerators that help with the generative AI aspects. And AMD also has an open and proven software platform that the developers can use, and we provide them our tools and libraries, and that has definitely brought down the barrier of entry for the developers. And the third part is also collaboration and partnerships across the ecosystem to make sure AI-based solutions are easily adapted and deployed.
One gets the sense that a lot of experts are fascinated with the idea that the success that AMD had with the server processors, and they're hoping and expecting that you'll repeat that success with AI, which kind of brings me to your Mi300 chip. From a layperson's point of view, can you give us a sense of the significance of the arrival of this chip in the market?
So the biggest short-term opportunity in AI for us is in the data centers. And the Mi300 product helps us tap into that opportunity. So it's an amazing product and something that we are absolutely proud of and looking forward to that, making a dent in the market. And it basically, we have Mi300A, which is the world's first data center APU that has the full performance CPU and GPU in the same package. So that is something that is being used to power some of the supercomputers and also allows advanced research at exascale. And the other part is our Mi300X, which is the world's most advanced AI accelerator, and that is something that can be used for generative AI. And this is really built to run large AI models directly on the memory. So it's much faster, and it also reduces the number of GPUs that are needed in the data center. So it's an amazing product, and we are expecting upwards of a 2 billion revenue for the GPU data centers just in 2024. And based on our projections, this can become the fastest product to ramp up to $1 billion sales. This is the fastest in AMD's history.
Can you tell us a bit about any work that might have been done in India on the Mi300?
So Mi300 was a hugely collaborative project, across various design centers, and India engineers also have done have made some critical contributions. Again, the contributions span across hardware, software, and both in terms of IP development and also SoC development. So we've made some very critical contributions in verification and implementation across the spectrum.
So if you throw the story forward, can you give us a peek into AMD's strategy for India on the R&D side of things? And maybe you can also talk about what that means in terms of the type of talent you will need to recruit.
Yeah. So last year in Semicon 23, AMD made an announcement of a $400 million investment for AMD India. So that was a pretty big announcement and a testimonial of the faith and trust that overall AMD has on India. And a bulk of that investment went into the new facility that we inaugurated. That's the AMD Technostar building. We are going to, once the phase 2 is complete, we're going to occupy about 500,000 square foot of area there, and that will house about 3,000 engineers. And along with that, we also announced that we'll be hiring about 3,000 engineers, adding to the headcount over the next 5 years. So in about 2028 or maybe sooner, we'll be hitting the 10,000 plus mark. So in terms of the talent that is needed, I think we are looking at the entire range of starting from senior engineers all the way to new college grads. I mean, we have several openings for CPU design, for IP development, for graphics design, for SoC work, FPGAs, along with AI and machine learning skills as well. And we do have openings with the fellow level folks and our principal member of technical staff on the technical ladder. And we do have openings for directors, senior directors as well, and senior managers. And we do have a pretty nice co-op or internship programs that kind of induct students who are still in school, close to graduation. We bring them on board, we train them. Actually, one difference is they get to work on a real projects. We don't have a separate, section of training only. We get them to kind of work on a real projects, and that gives them a taste of the real world. And we offer full-time opportunities for eligible co-ops. So that's also a very good program that we have with respect to new college hiring.
So at the very more senior level and very sort of, and some of these skills can be quite niche.
Yeah.
What's the sense you get in terms of availability of such people in the Indian ecosystem?
Yeah. See, the design itself is a mature sector in the entire ecosystem. I mean, manufacturing is something that's kind of starting now, but design has a very different story. We've had companies invest in design and open design centers in India for almost 3 decades now. So with all of these companies like AMD who have come in and invested, have also infused the talent or the skill sets needed for the design over the last 2.5 decades. So that has definitely led to a huge infusion of expertise and skill sets in the design area. So talent is definitely available. Where we need those specific, like for AMD x86 architecture or, those kind of things, we always have our internal training programs that we can rely on. So I would say talent is definitely available. And it's also about stability of leadership. One is AMD India has become a talent powerhouse for overall AMD. And another factor that kind of attracts more investment into India is the stability of our leadership team. I mean, glad to share, we have more than 50% of our directors and above. They've actually spent more than a decade with the company. So that kind of speaks volumes about the experience and expertise that we carry.
Outside of the US, would AMD India be your largest center?
Yeah. Actually, we constitute about 25% of the overall, workforce of AMD. We have 25% here. And also it's the AMD Bangalore Technostar Center is the largest R&D center globally.
Wow, including the US?
Including.
Okay, that's really amazing too.
Yeah, it's a huge testimonial of, how much faith and also for how we have grown and matured as a design center.
It also gives one a sense of how deeply integrated the operations must be with global operations.
Yes.
So in the Indian semiconductor ecosystem, there is one statistic that in journalistic terms, I would say has to be fact checked, which is that a lot of people say 20% of the world's semiconductor engineers are in India. I mean,
yes.
Is this?
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, and this is also a report that has been generated. And I mean, I've heard this multiple times, and I believe it is true.
Okay.
I mean, it's growing. I mean, and in a lot of sense, the maturity of the design sector has helped bring in a lot more investments.
So you're also the chair of a very high level public-private partnership, a committee looking into talent development in the ecosystem. And so you're, in that sense, you're an insider to what's happening in India in terms of how the government wants fabs and foundries and so on, and a sort of more broader ecosystem. So can you give us a sense of what it might look like, 5, 10 years? I'm thinking 10 years is probably when a lot of these things will begin to look a bit mature, coming together.
Absolutely. The complexities as such, you need time for things to mature. Yes, I had the honor of actually leading the committee for talent development. I mean, this was set up by the Minister of State, Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar.
So 10 years down the line, I mean, can you give us a sense of what the ecosystem in India might look like?
So there's, of course, design is a mature, sector, and it will continue to scale up and grow. And we are also seeing a good start of the manufacturing ecosystem with a few announcements that have come about. I think the next 10 years will be very defining, period for the whole semiconductor industry. It is now that people are understanding the importance of chip design, or there is talk about semiconductor industry, and which is a very refreshing change for us. I mean, I used to have a hard time explaining to my friends and family what I really do, other than being clubbed with IT or testing. I mean, it was hard for them to understand. And today, chip design has surfaced as a major, industry. And the growth can only be great for India because of the base that has been built and the strength of our engineering teams, and also the ease of doing business in India with all the government initiatives like the PLI schemes, design linked incentive schemes, and made in India schemes, the growing startup ecosystem, and the emphasis on manufacturing. All of this will come together over the next 10 years.
Tell us a bit more about yourself. Your engineering degree was in which subject?
I actually got my bachelor's in electronics and communications from BMS College of Engineering. And then I went on to do my master's in electrical engineering from University of Texas at Dallas. So I'm a true engineer.
Okay. Looking back, of course, 20 years ago, one could say that all parents only wanted their kids to be engineers or doctors or civil servants, probably.
Yeah.
But still, that said, if you think back, what's your earliest memory in terms of what you wanted to do? How did you get interested in tech?
Sure. So I don't know why, but since my childhood, science has been the only subject. Science and math have been the only subjects that I've been interested in. I mean, I had to literally pull myself through my history and other classes, but science and math have always fascinated me. I've been drawn to them. So getting into STEM was a natural choice. And of course, at that point, the debate was between whether I need to be a doctor or an engineer. For me, engineering was something that I could relate to very easily. Another influencing factor was a couple of my uncles or family members whom I really adored and looked up to were excellent engineers. So the choice became more natural.
Today, as country manager, senior vice president, I guess it's an everyday part of your work that you have to straddle both sides of your work, products, as well as what will work as a business.
Yeah.
Can you give us a sense of how you manage this balance and the tension between the two?
So, I mean, product development is something that's close to my heart because I am an engineer and I've been in the design. So that's something I can very easily relate to. But as you grow up in the ladder, it has to start making business sense. I mean, that's an angle that you slowly start to appreciate and get used to. Where at AMD, it's kind of in a way, it's well bifurcated. I mean, it's not like design engineers have to worry about the business aspects on a regular basis. Of course, the specifications have to be met, and we have to do everything possible to get the attention of a customer. All that is done, but there is a pretty good bifurcation. There are business units who look at the business side of things, but in my role, I kind of cater to both. Although design is close to my heart, it is very important to not forget the business angle. So it has not been very difficult to straddle because it makes natural sense and it's a natural progression.
Fair enough. Anything comes to your mind that, one or two projects that you are particularly proud of in your career?
Oh, there are quite a few.
I'm sure.
There are quite a few. I should say, in terms of the difficulties or challenges we had and how we actually came out very successful. There's a couple of projects that I can tell you about. One was this CPU that we had to deliver to our very important customer. And this was a game console by Sony, and the pressure was humongous on the schedule. And unfortunately, we were given the responsibility of delivering the CPU IP to that design, and my team couldn't free themselves up with another project kind of dragging on, and then we couldn't really get a head start on that project. But the customer was not willing to change the dates, so we were staring at almost a 4-month pull-in of an already aggressive schedule, and the pressure was just too much. The customer was very, very particular about every step, and they were ready to just pull out, and there was a lot to prove even for us. I mean, a remote team in India, a woman as a leader, and there was skepticism all around. But the way we kind of reacted, the way we set about a very transparent way of tracking, that way there's nothing that we have to hide from the customer. Let's be transparent because we are in true partnership. That's how we treated this. And I said, look, it's a new process and we'll do everything that's in our hands or control. But if the violations come in millions, it's going to take us a few more weeks extra. But we'll keep it very open and transparent, and something that you can appreciate as well over time. And but luckily for us, the process itself was very conducive, very good in a way. We could actually get our design closed, and the team also worked extremely hard. They stepped up to the challenge, and starting from skepticism to who are these people working on the most important IP, to this is one of the best teams in AMD that we want to continue to work on. I think that was a huge achievement.
When was this?
Sense. This was in 2016.
How many people on your core team on this work?
We had about 150 engineers working on it.
I bet many of them have gone on to do bigger, greater things after that.
Absolutely, and that's the kind of experience that has now led to the growth of the team, and also the change in approach, where we proved that India can take on ownership and deliver in spite of the difficult challenges. So that has definitely paved way to more ownership and more growth.
Very nice. In the context of what we've been talking about, any points that you'd like to highlight?
I think it's, I truly feel like we are at the right place at the right time. And this is something I want to give a shout out to all the students out there who are looking for career opportunities. And this is one of the fantastic fields that you can work on, that can give you challenges, that can give you the satisfaction, and that can empower you, with every step that you take to develop yourself as a true engineer